Hello, pet parents and pet lovers. The native Indian dogs are literally everywhere around us, right from villages to urban cities, metros, and yet we seem to know so little about them. They possess some distinct features and traits which makes them extremely compatible for our local life and home. If you're a pet lover and want to know what a brilliant addition these loving Indian dog breeds can be to your homes, then this session is specially for you. This is Niharika from Pet Food India, your host for today, and we are here with a long awaited and much needed topic of discussion, all you need to know about Indian dog breeds, where we will discuss their lifestyle, specific traits, and extraordinary facts, among many other things. I would now like to welcome our expert guest who will be taking us through this session, Mr. Amrut S. Hiranya, popularly known as Amrut Dog Guru. Amrut is India's only canine behaviorist from Unitech, New Zealand, and appointed advisor to the Police Dog Squad. He is also the first Asian to achieve Australian Dog Whisperer Award and the first Asian to deliver a TED Talk on canine behavior. Hi Amrit, how are you today?
Hi, good evening, Niharika. Hi, all viewers. Doing very well. How are you today?
I'm good too, sir. How's the weather at your place?
We had an unexpected rain last night at Bengaluru, so it's a little pleasant compared to what it was. It was burning hot. How's it there?
We are definitely expecting a storm in Delhi today, but all
Okay.
things fine here.
Hope it doesn't
Okay,
disturb
so
our session.
we'll hope on that, sir. Definitely. Okay, so people who are watching us, please feel free to drop in any queries that you may have about Indian dog breeds in the comments section below, and we will try and also answer them all for you. Also, just like last time, we are running an interesting trivia contest during this live session where we will be asking the audience three questions throughout the session. And three lucky winners who answer all these three questions correctly will win a gift hamper from Purina Pro Plan. So stay tuned to this chat as the trivia questions will be announced in the middle of this entire 1 hour session for you to answer in the comments below. People who are joining us just now, we are here to discuss the topic all you need to know about Indian dog breeds. So, till then, let us begin with the basic understanding of these very special furry friends, Amrit. Are we ready?
Yes, we are. We're waiting
Okay,
for it.
so, sure. So, let's start with the history of Indian dog breeds, Amrit. Could you please tell us since when have the Indian native dogs been around humans and what was the purpose they served back in the old days?
See, that way seeing we have a mythologies like Ramayana, Mahabharata that still has dogs in them. But then, yeah, the studies say 12,000 to 15,000 years ago is when we started seeing them on sculptures. They've been widely celebrated on temple sculptures, on different sculptures. And in fact, their history that also goes back telling that these breeds or Indian native breeds have been exported to different countries like Egypt, could be British empires, those days for hunting purposes. They were very well known for their faith, their hardy nature, their good immune system. Even 10 to 15,000 years ago, the Indian native breeds were widely used across the globe.
Okay.
We can
So,
now yeah, sorry. Now we have separated them into different breeds like the Chippy Parai, the Indian Pera, the Mudol Hone, Rajapalyam, the Indian or the Himalayan Mastiff, Himachal Hounds, Kombai, Pandikona. These are different native breeds.
okay, okay, sir. All right. So, before we hello, sorry, I'm just getting a technical glitch on my end. Yeah, so India does have the largest population of stray dogs, and we do tend to assume that all the strays are basically the Indian native dog breeds. But is that true?
See, yes, they. This is a dicey question because the indies or the streeties that we find outside on the streets today, they are largely a crossbreeding or an inbreeding of our native breeds. Like they would have a part of Kombai, a part of the Indian Pira, and a little bit of Rajapalyam, or the same way Pandikona with Chippy Parai. So the indies we have are the streeties. They are. a form of the native Indian breeds, but not the purest of forms because they are inbred between themselves. But the best part of the Indian native breeds that we can see on the screen now, these are all self-bred dogs, as in compared to a lot of other imported breeds we have today, which had a lot of man mingling in it because they were selectively bred by humans for particular purposes. Whereas the Indian Pira or probably the Rajapalyam, the Chippy Parai, the Himalayan sheepdogs, these have originated themselves natively in different parts of the country by breeding within themselves. So they are the best of breeds because there was less of mantling there. And when a female dog does accept, understand another male dog, and there is offspring coming from it, the genotype themselves are very hard, strong, and well immune to the climate and the tropical climate they follow in India.
Okay, so they are really well suited for the Indian climate, that is.
Very true.
Okay, and what was the purpose that they were initially, they start? What was the purpose they solved in the earlier days, maybe?
Basically the biggest thing earlier, see, 10-15,000 years ago, the most important thing was food, whether it was for humans or for dogs. So hunting was the basic purpose, that or the objective, basic objective for the breeds. Whereas depending on their location, they had different texture, they had different coats. For example, we could start with the Himalayan sheepdog on the top, or it's also called the Himachal Pradesh dog, Himali dogs. So these
Right,
dogs
right.
had thicker furs, they had more stronger hind joints because they had to climb up mountains with snows. They were used
Okay,
basically for hunting in the snows. They were also used for search and rescue operations there. The especially the Himalayan sheepdog sort of breeds. Coming down to the Kombai is more like the terrier dogs. They have great smelling abilities. So hunting down south, when it's used for hunting of probably smaller animals like could be rabbits, could be the smaller rodents, these sort of things, it's always faster and better with the Kombai. Coming back to the Rajapalyams or the Chippy Parai, these are sight hound dogs. Today they come under the sight hound, which also means that they have an ability of turning their eyes around and closely surveillance 240 degrees, approximately up to
wow.
240 degrees. This is something that lacks in several other dog breeds, which means that these dogs who fall under the sight hounds were utilized for hunting in long tall grasses because they could stand up in their height and see through the target hunt through long grasses or look around. So when they have an ability to look around for 240 degrees, when there is, say, a deer or something that's moving fast, it makes it easier for
Right.
them to judge where they need to go. They're obviously not going to go straight because the deer would have moved ahead. So they used to get a wide range to go and
Okay.
get to the hunt. And because of their lean, tall body structure, you look at them, they look bony, right? So it's not that they're thin, they're lean and they're very strong. It's just like the cheetahs. The cheetahs don't look as big as the puma or
Right.
the leopards, but then they run much faster. So these dogs were utilized then for hunting purposes. Most of them were
Okay.
utilized for hunting purposes. Depending on their geographical location in India, they had their sizes, coats, and their variations.
Wow, that is definitely a lot of qualities that we have already discussed. But before we move on to the next question, I would quickly like to announce the first trivia question that we have for our audience today. So, be ready, guys. The first trivia question that we have is, which of the following breeds of dog is used to maintain herds in northern India? I'll repeat the question. Which of the following breeds of dog is used to maintain herds in northern India? Your option 1 is Labradors and the option 2 is Himalayan sheepdogs. I'll repeat, the option 1 is Labradors and the option 2 is Himalayan sheepdogs. So if you know the correct answer, write it in the comment section below. So, Amrit, now that we understand how the indies are different, can you please tell us a little more about their competencies and what goes actually into taking care of them?
See, basically, what happens is the origination of the breed in the same climate or the tropical geographical location for them, that itself solves a lot of their management concerns. Giving the
Okay.
best example of, say, we are looking at a golden retriever or a Labrador compared to a Combine.
Right.
Here, Kombai could also be a guard dog and a great companion, whereas Golden Retriever Labradors are great companions, but then they require a little more exercise. And depending
Okay.
on their fur, both Labrador Retrievers and Golden Retrievers were, in fact, Purina Pro Plan. We also had spoken session about our Labradors and Golden Retrievers
Right.
and the gun dog
Right.
group previously, educating our viewers about the same. So here, what happens is that their coat and conditioned for were conditioned to swim. They are called the retrievers. So they're supposed to go get the hunt and bring them back, or they're supposed to go fish.
Okay.
Fishing. They used to jump from the boat into in the river or in the oceans, catch a fish in their mouth, and come back. So their coats were made to be more comfortable when they're in water, dry easily,
Okay.
float easily, and don't get fungal infections that way. Whereas in India, how many dogs we could have on the shores or near rivers? They are very less. So
Right.
the coat condition itself, a chippy parai or kombai or the Indian pira, they're made well made, and the genotype itself is so accustomed to our climate that we just spoke about Delhi expecting a storm. Bangalore just had
Right.
a rain. So these sort of sudden changes is something that they are prone to. So they do not have a confusion there. So when their skin is doing much better, they have less of irritation. Now, when the irritability in their body comes down, the hormone or the mental irritability is also lesser. So overall, the health wise, see, the Raja could be the Mudol, could be the Rajapalyams, they're much suited for the dry climate. So even if they are
Okay.
fed on vegetarian food in the dry climate, which is normally available, so they are able to adjust to it, digest it much easily compared to the other breeds. There have been a lot of concerns when people call up telling, Doguru, we have a husky and he's unable to digest idli and dosa or roti and
Right.
chana or probably pulao and dal, right? So these dogs, which are imported breeds, they basically are carnivores. All dogs are carnivores, but
Right.
then the advantages of our native Indian breeds is that they're genetically, for probably the 10, 12 genotypes of theirs or their parents, they have been used to eating what Indians eat, what we grow, right? Compared
Okay.
to, so when we
Right.
import a German Shepherd directly from Germany, the quality of meat that the parents of this puppy used to get in Germany is much different than what we get here.
Definitely.
The
Definitely.
quality of meat itself could be mutton, could be chicken, could be whatever. The quality of meat, or because of the climatic condition, the water, the air, these are things that we cannot change. We could keep a husky or a Bernard in AC, but then a Himalayan sheepdog, even if it's brought down south to a more drier climate, they may not require that much of care or extra care that goes into it, which also
Okay.
otherwise means that they're much more comfortable in our climate. So that comfort goes from their skin to their food habits to their physical and their mental well-being.
Okay. Understood. Understood. So, sir, before we take the next question, we have one from Ganesh Kapoor who's asking, are Indian Desi dogs as intelligent as foreign dogs?
Absolutely, they are. Absolutely, they are. See, the intelligence of every dog, because they all evolved approximately 10, 15, 20,000 years ago, and each one
Right.
has been born and brought up for their particular reason in that particular region. So the intelligence, we could always compare the best of, we could compete combis with Belgian shepherds today being the world's
Wow.
number one police dogs. They could
Right.
work in terms of detection, could be narcotics, could be explosives, which we train and supply. So these dogs are even the Indian Pira are equally competent to the Belgian shepherds that way. Or if you're going for the search and rescue operations, our Himalayan sheepdog is as good as the Swiss mountain dog, or it could be the Saint Bernards. They're equally good, they grow equally big, and they could be used equally well.
Wow. All right. All right. So that's actually quite a lot of qualities that we discuss, and they are definitely such smart dog breeds with a natural hunting prowess also. So, how helpful are they to our police force? Any personal instances that you can share with our audience?
CRPF, that is the Central Reserve Police Force, is the biggest paramilitary force for the dog squad in the country. They have 1,000 plus dogs working across the country, saving a lot of lives, finding explosives, finding narcotics, and they're doing a great job. CRPF today, they have their dog center called the DBNTS, Dog Breeding and Training Center, where they interestedly are into a lot of research as well. It is headed by
Right.
DIGP ML Ravindra sir, and the principal of the school is Commandant Manoj Kumar sir. They have a great team of deputy commandants like we have Arun Kumar sir and Mahinder Hegde sir. These are people who go in depth. They have already adopted combis, chippy parais. They have started training them, and they are the ones. If today I could give you a reason that they are equally intelligent, they are better, they could get better with training. It is because of the ability and the agility where they have been trained on at the CRPF DBTS. And coming back to the Indian breeds in the Karnataka State Police, where I am an advisor, we have adopted two Indies, not the breeded ones, the mixed breeds about them,
Okay.
which were found in Bangalore in a police station during
Okay.
COVID. These puppies were bitten by rodents, and because rodents didn't have food coming from the hotels, so we
Right.
rescued them with then our commissioner of Bangalore Police was Sri Bhaskar Rao, ADGP. He was very keen on me supporting the dogs as well, because during COVID and the lockdown, seal down, every human was busy taking care of themselves. But then with the Bangalore Police, with headed by Commissioner Sri Bhaskar Rao and a team of Rohini Sapet ma'am, who is an IPS as well, they did see to it that how we could take care of the indies outside the streets as well. So feeding them was also a big part of this program here. Reason why I'm talking it in this open forum is that so that if ever these sort of concerns come up, we also have to remember that there are dogs outside our houses who also do not have food. We do understand many people went lack of food. So anything that is at crisis situations, do remember they are a big part of the ecosystem. Now, during this time, we adopted two puppies, and they are 9, 10 months of age today. They have been successfully trained in Amrit Dog Guru services as narcotic detection dogs. They would soon be
Wow.
joining the police force and helping the colleges and universities to scan for drugs. This
That is
also would
wonderful.
campaign that Indian street puppies picked up from the street can be great drug or explosive detection dogs. That's on the personal touch.
Indeed, indeed. So, sir, we have a few more questions coming in. So, Jerika Arjun asks, do indies face shedding? When is it usually, and how to reduce it?
Every dog does face shedding, but the good part of Indies is that we know during summer is when they shed. It becomes a confusion for the dog himself, especially when he comes from a different country. A dog brought down from New Zealand, for them, the summers are in December and January. It's not the same
Right.
for us here. Just because of a 2 day transit and we fly the dog down, there's a lot of confusion that the dog undergoes in their physiological changes because of the weather. Whereas Indies normally shed during their summer, just like
Right.
any other tree in India. Now, the advantage for shedding here is when we groom the dog. Now, basic grooming of any dog is brushing them with a metal brush. So every day, if you can brush your dog, just it would take not more than 5 to 10 minutes. Every day, you take your dog out for a walk to relieve themselves. So see to it that you carry a brush along with you, brush them well outside, to and fro, bring them back, so all the dead hair falls off. You would not have much of hair fallen in your house or create asthma and other allergies to children or other people at home. So summer is the time when we have shedding for these dogs as well.
Okay. Okay. So, Jerika further asks, please suggest in-house exercises for indies. I have adopted a stray dog. He's 3 years old.
See, exercise when we mean normally immediately people get into a mode of running or probably yeah, doing a fetch. This is physical exercise. Dogs tend to get more tired when there is mental exercise. When we're talking
Okay.
about an indie, especially, they have a genotype of the survival of the fittest. So their parents, their ancestors, their grandparents, they all had to hunt for their food, search for their food. So rather than giving your dog a bowl of food, could be anything.
Hmm.
Say, for example, we are using Purina. Instead of giving it in a bowl, if you can hide it at different corners of the house, let your dog to go search and find it, search and find it. It would, and I'm talking about just 2 or 3 kibble in one place. So to have probably
Right.
200 grams of food, it would take 2 hours for the dog to go all around the house, hunt for it,
And
use
eat
their
it.
senses in natural way, and at the end of every search, they're getting a treat. So this takes,
Right.
instead of gulping food in 2 minutes, it takes an hour, and the dog is so comfortable after that is because they felt that they earned their food. They weren't given food, they earned the food. So that works much better. And dogs after that go for a peaceful sleep. Compared to a 10 minutes run, an hour of mental strenuous exercise for them works much better for them.
Right, right, definitely. So we have one more question. Urja Deshpande Narvankar asks, can we keep a Rajapalayam lady in Mumbai homes, and are they friendly in general towards other dogs?
Rajapalyam or any breed of a dog, they being friendly and not being friendly is how we raise them. So if you socialize them well, yes, they can be great, good dogs. Now coming to Mumbai, Mumbai is a lot of humid climate. There's a lot of rains that happens most of the year in Mumbai, and we are by the seashore. Rajapalyams could get fungal infections or skin concerns in that particular region because they're not meant for that. Whereas a Kombai or a Chippipara as an Indian breed would be more comfortable in Mumbai compared to the Rajapalyams or the Mudhols because they're meant to be in the dry climates. This is not completely generalized. There could be dogs if this particular Mudhol or a Rajapalyam had their parents and ancestors in seashores and they're comfortable to it. Probably after
Right.
one or two generations, then they get much more comfortable staying there.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Okay. So, before we take further questions from the audience, I would quickly like to announce the second trivia question that we have for our audience today. So, here it goes, guys. Is it true or false? Desi doggos need minimum attention to grooming. So, you just have to answer true or false. Is it true or false? Desi doggos need minimum attention to grooming. Option one is true, and option two is false. So, if you know the correct answer, start commenting on the post now. Okay, sir. So we have one more question from Nagendra Vishwamitra, who's asking: do breedings for show purpose has taken out the original characteristics of Indian dog?
Absolutely. It's not only Indian dogs, it is for all breeds of dogs. When we're talking about breeding for show purpose, more than the Indian dogs, we have the foreign breeds when we took at the dog shows, mostly because we hardly have few of them. Say we have around 50 breeds of dogs in a dog show, then we have probably 10-15% of Indian breeds there. That being the case. See, now we're taking about
Right.
Rajapalyams or Mudhols. See, they were bred for hunting. So the hunting instinct in them, looking at your, giving more importance to the movement of the prey, going attacking the prey. Similar they are to the greyhounds, which are used for racing in different countries, the running race. So here they are breeding them into their drives again. So there is
Right.
something like a rabbit that's moved in a machine, and the dogs run and chase to hold them. They run on sand, so they still remain lean and physically fit. Whereas when we look at the dogs in the show, especially for the look shows or the breed shows, we do not give these dogs that much of exercise. One, or we do not improve their hunt drive because we don't want the dog to stand in a show and keep observing a child who's moving away and given a chance go and bite them. We would look at a dog who would be docile, just stand there, give a show, stack for the show, give a movement that
Right.
shows for the show. Because the question here is not the drive or the ability in the dog, but what is judged here is the breed or the standard of the breed. So, say we have a great bred Mudol who's extremely aggressive because he has to be. They're territorial animals, they're hunting dogs. And we think of
Right.
bringing them to Mumbai or Bangalore or Delhi and places like that for the dog shows, or even in colder regions like Uti, could be Mahabaleshwar, could be the hill stations. So where the lot of dog shows do happen, here they do not get the particular climate they need, they do not get the particular exercise they need, because exercise, again, we could put them on a treadmill or we can make them run, but the mental exercise of hunting is not given to them. So these, again, when we go back to what we started our discussion about, these were the hunting
Right.
breeds. Right.
Right.
So we normally breed them for the shows. So we breed out, the hunting instincts are bred out and the looks are
Right.
bred in. So we only breed dogs who look good and behave good and not are good at hunting and things like that. So his question is very true. We have bred their abilities out of them for the show so that they look and behave well.
Okay. Okay. That is actually quite sad, though. But let's move on to the next question. So the next question is from Manpinder Singh, who's asking: does Indian breeds adapt better to extreme warm or cold climates in India than foreign breeds?
Yes, they do adapt better because one, in India, when we talk about our Indian climate, even though they're extreme, they're able to adapt better compared to others. For example, despite the fact that we just spoke about Mudol or Rajapalyam, who are meant for
Right.
dry climates, they are able to adjust. Like I told you, it's not that they cannot at all. They are able to adjust compared to getting a Siberian Husky or probably a Chow Chow or probably these sort of dogs to stay in dry climates. For them, it's impossible to adjust, right? Because they
Right.
born and brought up in that particular Siberian
Climate.
Huskies or the Alaskan
Hmm.
Malamutes. They live in the minus degrees. right? So they could probably be a little comfortable in the Himalayan regions, but then down it's impossible for them to be comfortable. They live, but their longevity reduces, the skin concerns increase, and other concerns also increase with that. But
Right.
comparatively, Indian native breeds can live across the country much more comfortable compared to the imported breeds.
Okay. Okay. Definitely. The next question is from Nikun Sule, who's asking, my professional dog trainer says that Indie as dog with are high energy dogs and come with multiple behavioral issues. So they should not be household or in apartments, but are more suitable for farms and open houses. What are your suggestions, or what do you say on that?
See, primarily, if it's a trainer or a behavioralist, then they should take it up as a happy challenge to train any
Right.
dog for any environment. That is their job, rather than a doctor complaining that this particular disease is for this dog, so it's not right to keep that dog. I can't treat it. One
Right.
second thing, he somewhere here the question is, when do you adopt an Indie? If you have adopted an Indian breed or an Indian dog at a very young age, say between 30 to 90 days, then you could grow them in an apartment, getting them accustomed to the apartment level of exercising. Whereas adopting a 3 or 4 year old dog from the streets, if that is the concern, then it is difficult for the dog to get adjusted. And for that's where a trainer comes in place or a behaviorist comes in place to help the owner to understand what they can give the dog there.
Okay.
If I've already adopted a 3 year old dog, till 2 years he was in the streets, and 6 months he was in a rescue center, 1 month he was in a foster home. Now he's come to my apartment. So, how do I keep him here? He's not comfortable. So, that's when we'll have to think of giving them exercises in different ways. If we are not able to take them out for a run, most or all of us have friends who have unused treadmills. You can slowly get them used to treadmill running at homes so they get enough exercise, and see to it that you feed them optimally for the amount of exercise they're getting. Don't overfeed. Just because we are not able to give
Mhm.
them exercise, we are not able to give them time, what we do is we overfeed them. So the more of feeding that goes in, more of energy that has to be utilized. So the dog would either start barking, howling, tearing things, breaking things, and that ends up on blaming the dog, and next comes their skin or their coat. That is
Okay.
the breed. That's what I meant.
Okay, okay, understood. So the next question is from Pukhraj Singh, who's asking, I have heard that street dogs get aggressive when they are adopted and made to live inside a house. Is that true? Any advice on how to go about this adoption?
See, it goes, like I just mentioned, it goes on the age of adoption. If you're adopting them when they're still a puppy, then you can get
Right.
them socialized well. They could be great loving animals at homes. But if they're coming much later, we also have to understand and accept the fact that they have undergone a lot of trauma on the streets. Somebody snatched
Right.
away their mother. They saw the sibling get killed in rain. They saw another sibling get being driven over a car. So for them, when they come later, it becomes much more difficult for them because they have survived a lot of hardships. So for them, suddenly coming home and sleeping on a sofa is something that they would not trust. They don't know anything. Anything. I can lose my pet parents, as in like how I lost my mother, or I can lose the food there. So they get food aggressive. They get more possessive about their people or the places at home. Like people call me for behavioral issues on a webinar asking, "Sir, how do you help us?" Because they're from different parts of the country. So they call over a webinar asking, "How do we tell our dog that that sofa also belongs to us?" Because the moment my dog gets onto the couch or on the bed, he doesn't allow anybody get up on that. So
Hmm.
these sort of behavioral concerns is because the dog is very insecure. So if you're
Right.
wanting to adopt one and have a comfortable life in an apartment or a house like that, the smaller houses, shared living, then it's always better go for a puppy when you're adopting them. And if you're adopting one where with a larger area, a bungalow, a villa, a farmhouse, then you can go for adopting the bigger ones.
Okay. Okay. So the next question is from Abhishek Kumar, who's saying, "I rescued a litter of five Desi Indies. They are only a month old, and their mother is not to be found. What and how many times should I feed them?"
Best natural food, great question, is that there are a lot of commercial foods like Purina Pro Plan who have scientifically proven diets for puppies. Alternative would be goat's milk. Please do not give them cow's milk or packaged milk because the pH of cow's milk does not match dogs. Goat's milk is available in a lot of supermarkets. Goat's milk, a little diluted, would be the best feed you can give them now, other than the commercial food if it's not available. Slowly, you can wean them off the milk by the time they're 60, 65 days old and get them onto the commercial foods, because there is a lot of research that goes into commercial foods for the nutritional balance when mother is not around. Cow's milk or packaged other milk would not do good at all for them at this age.
So we have another question from Jerica Anchin, who's asking, what are the laws to protect the strays as well as the feeder, and what type of food is ideal for Indies?
Any food which has less or no salt, sugar, fruits or vegetables is the best for any breed of a dog. Laws, I would suggest, there are lots of laws today by the Animal Welfare Board. You can Google them because it goes for more than a couple of hours if I start talking about the laws here. So there are laws to protect the feeders. There are laws, and now today AWB, the Animal Welfare Board of India, has also given licenses for feeders. So feeders, I would suggest get to their website, log into them, give them your specifications, get your licenses, because when you go to complain to a police station that I was feeding a dog and somebody stopped me or somebody harassed me, when you have a license, it gives you more of knowledge. And the Animal Welfare Board law has a lot of educative programs. Before they give you an ID card or before they give you a feeder card, they also educate you among the IPC sections that would help you if and when to educate more people. Because yes, in India the constitution says that nobody can stop another person from feeding any animal,
Right, right.
and it is punishable to stop or harass anybody who's feeding an animal, specifically for dogs. So they have all the rights to live, and you also have all the rights according to the constitution to feed them.
Definitely. So we encourage everybody to feed stray dogs as much as you can and take care of them, definitely. Moving on to the next question. We have a question and he's asking, can you explain about Kombai dog?
Combis. See, combis basically are more, to give you the best of examples, they fall under between the beagles to the Belgian shepherds. So, what I mean there is that they are good at food drives like the beagles. They're good at working conditions. Combi can be used for my concern, for my expertise, they could be used as drug detection dogs or bomb detection dogs because they use a lot of their scenting abilities.
Right.
They're more like the terriers as well. So combis could be used to find out rodents. They're good guard dogs. They're not ones who they see guard dogs. We have mudols as well to guard bigger territories, the Rajapalams to guard farmhouses, larger lands, whereas Kombai could be used for simple, smaller villas, bungalow houses to guard them. So they are great dogs for guarding purposes, as well as if you want to train them for task specific tracking, like I told you, the explosive or the narcotic detection work, because they are as good as Belgian Shepherds when it comes to their scenting abilities. And they can get well accustomed to any climate, whether it's cold, whether it's
Okay.
hot, it's humid, it's raining, it's not. However, seashore, mountains, Kombai can get accustomed anywhere.
Wow, very impressive, definitely. So the next question that we have is from Saborni Poddar, and the question is: my two Indies have very high aggression towards other dogs on leash, but are okay with most treaties. Is this selective aggression specific to Indies?
Now, this is a common complaint. We get a lot of calls, especially from metropolitan cities where they join webinars to understand how to walk their dog on leash. And there they are able to realize that lot of dogs or all dogs have aggression towards dogs on leash with an owner, whereas they're very friendly with dogs off leash or the Indies. What is the reason? See here, we it's funny, but it's so true to tell that the Indies there who are friendly with them or they're friendly towards Indies, they are normal animals. They think by their own head. Nobody is telling them what to think. Nobody is feeding them any energy. Whereas a dog on leash is a reflection about the person who's holding the dog.
Okay.
You're walking your two Indies, you are three in the pack, the two Indies and you. Whereas a person who's walking with a pug, a Labrador, a Bernard, a Rottweiler, a German Shepherd, for him, the moment he sees these dogs, he rolls up his leash on his arm, he pulls them back because he's scared from a distance, even before you notice that there is one person walking two dogs. So he wants to
Okay.
protect his dog. He rolls up the leashes, he pulls them back. So this tells that particular dog that my owner or my pack leader or my pack member is scared. What is he scared of? He is scared of somebody walking two other dogs there. So it is my job to protect him. So this dog from a distance starts showing aggression to your dog. So your dogs have to protect you. Pretty obvious they
Okay.
get aggressive. So the
Right, right,
concern here is not the dog or the breed. The concern here is the person opposite to you who's holding the other dog. If they are not confident, then the dog
right.
takes off.
Okay, okay.
For example,
Wow.
there's somebody coming with a Rottweiler. He's like, oh my God, I have
Huh.
a Rottweiler and there are two Indies. So my dog can attack the Indie. But his
Okay.
Rottweiler would never be able to understand that he's scared of me. He's my owner. I'm his
Okay.
dog. We eat together, we sleep together, we sleep on the same bed.
Right.
So he can never be scared of me. He is scared of those two dogs. So I
Those
have
two
to
dogs.
charge on them. So when his body language tells your two Indies that he's going to come and charge on me, they get more aggressive.
Oh my God.
Whereas
Marvelous
The
thinking
Indian
process.
street dogs, yeah, the
Right.
pack dogs in your street, the mongrels or the streeties or the indies, they are very comfortable. They know you come with two dogs, you go away. They are not bothered. So are your dogs not being bothered? They are comfortable. You're comfortable here.
You are
It's only
comfortable.
the person who's holding the other dog. Or they, like I give you the example of a Rottweiler owner. Say there's a pug owner, or probably there's a Shih Tzu owner. For them, they're like, oh, there are two indies coming. What if they bite my dog? So they
Okay.
immediately get more cautious. The moment they become cautious, their anxiety from their hand through the leash goes to their dog, and that particular dog is
Okay.
like, "Don't worry, I'll bite them." Or you want me to get scared? I'll put my tuck my
Right.
tail in, so they get scared. So moment what any change in that dog's behavior, which is a reflection of the owner, your dogs have to protect you.
Right. Right. Wow. How loyal and how perfect best friends, definitely. So the next question that we have is from Rishabh, and he's asking, "I want to adopt a street dog. Any specific checkups required for that dog?"
A basic health checkup from a veterinary doctor is important just to see to it that they do not have transmittable diseases, because we call them as zoonotic diseases. Could be a lot of disease that an animal could carry to your home. So but it's not that that could be carried by any breed of a dog. So anybody
Hmm.
adopting a puppy or purchasing a puppy, normally adopting is always better. Give more preference to that. So there, get your puppies checked by a veterinary doctor, get them vaccinated time to time. That's as much as what could be judged on that breed or on that dog at that age. As far as they do not have health concerns, they don't have loose stools, they don't have vomiting, they are not dehydrated, they're eating well, they're comfortable, they're active, then nothing beyond that is needed.
Okay. Understood. The next question is from Yashvi Gada, and the question is: My family of three is really social, and we have a lot of friends and guests coming over. We wish to adopt an indie, but would like to know beforehand if they are social and friendly around new humans.
See, how a dog behaves, like I told you, is a reflection to us. So if we are friendly with people, we allow, when you get a pup home and you have your friends coming over, you let your puppy to mingle with them, take them to dog parks, take them to places where there are other pets, get them to meet them, be more comfortable, then your
Hmm.
dog would grow up to be a lovely, friendly companion dog. If we only, normally what happens, people only bring their pet, parents bring their pet outside in a car, especially to take them to the vet, where they're going
Hmm.
to be a prick, either cut your nail, clean your ears, give you an injection, and that's where they find other dogs. So that grows a dog to be antisocial. So what happens with those dogs is that they're very, it's like the children today. If this COVID-1, COVID-2 continues, then people having online classes, they would forget sharing is caring, forget to play. There's so many games
Very
children
true.
would have been playing otherwise. Today they're most on their laptops or on their tabs or on their phones, right? Because they're not allowed to go out and play with other children. Similarly, if you do not socialize dogs, then yeah, they would get more aggressive. But so any breed of a dog, well socialized from an earlyhood, would be a good companion.
Okay. Okay. The next question that we have is from Shobha, and the question is: How to approach a scared stray dog?
Primarily, ignoring is the best thing you could do. Let the scared dog or the friendly dog, give them enough time. Trust them,
Okay.
respect them. Don't go overboard giving a biscuit or going near them, trying to touch them, trying to talk to them. See, if a dog is scared and you're talking to the dog, you're giving them attention for being scared. So you are telling them it's a positive reinforcer whenever we talk to a scared dog. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. Come here, darling. I'll give you a biscuit. I'm going to feed you. I'm a dog lover. These sort of things tells the dog that I'm scared, and they're entertaining me for it. They are telling me that's the right thing. Ignore the dog who's scared, but be around. The moment the dog feels that they're more confident and they start moving towards you, shivering or palpitation reduces, frothing reduces, and they start coming towards you is when you start going toward them. Give them enough time. See, time is very important. Ignore the fear in them, ignore the behavior where they're showing you that they're scared. They would slowly come over it, they would start moving towards you. Eh, eh, Give them more attention to it. Let the dog know that this is what is expected. If I continue being scared, if I sit in a corner, shiver, or growl, people would ignore me. But if I stop growling, they look at me. I stand up, they walk towards me. I walk towards them, then they take a packet of biscuit. And if I start wagging tail, I come closer, I get the biscuit.
Okay.
Right? So we see, we the difference between we humans or and dogs is that they give us unconditional love. We have to give them conditional love for coexistence. So rather than going and pampering a dog who's scared, wait for the dog to come out of fear, move slowly out, and as they move out of fear, start increasing the amount of attention or energy you're giving them.
Okay. Okay. Understood. All right. The next question that we have is from Anjan Roy, and the question is I have a 1.5-year-old Labrador. I want to adopt an indie puppy, but also very conscious about the infection caused by the indie puppy to my lab. Can I adopt an indie?
See, infection itself is not something that will be there throughout their life primarily. So, if you want to adopt an indie, what you need to know more is go and adopt one of the opposite sex, so that you don't create a comparison competition between the two of them. You have a male lab, go for a female indie. You have a female lab, go for a male indie. If you're scared that they would mate in future, get them sterilized, get both of them sterilized for a healthier living. One, and you can any puppy, whether you have a lab or you don't, if you want, or you're adopting an indie or adopting any other breed of a dog, get them veterinary checked for any other infections, because it's not only infection. The indie puppy could get to your lab. There could be a lot of the chances of your lab giving infections to the indie puppy is higher. Reason being, your Labrador is well vaccinated. So he
Right.
will not be infected, but he could be a carrier. For example,
Okay.
your dog goes out for a walk. There is a bone that falls out from a crow's mouth on the floor. Your dog is there. He's going to lick it. That was a dog. That was from a rodent. Could be a rat or a mouse or a hamster or something like that, which had diseases. That still is a carrier. So your dog will not, your adult dog may not get the disease, but the saliva could convert it and carry it and give it to your other puppy at home, because
Other
your puppy
puppy.
is yet not vaccinated. Your well vaccinated dog would go out on streets, lick, smell other dogs' pee or feces from different places that had parvo or distemper. He would carry that in his mouth, come and give it to your puppy, whereas the puppy is yet not immune to it, but the
Right.
carrier is. Just the best example is with COVID. I am COVID protected. I had corona once or twice or whatever, so my antibodies is high. I go out, meet a person, shake hands with him, come back home and shake hands with another person who does not have enough antibodies. So he's going to rub his eyes and then he would get affected. I was the carrier. I didn't get affected, but I was the carrier. Right?
Right.
So
Right.
any breed of a dog, before adopting, before bringing it home, please get it veterinary checked. And even with the veterinary clinics, see to it that you get to clinics that have separate tables. There could be, if there's a single table for a dog and they had parvo or distemper puppy there, you get your puppy and leave it on the same table. If it's not well cleaned, then your puppy, which was a healthy puppy before you entered the clinic, is going to come back with the disease when it comes out.
Right, right. Perfectly explained, Amrit. Thank you. So before we move on to the next questions from the audience, I would quickly like to announce the third trivia questions that we have for our audience today. So the last question for you guys is it true or false that native Indian dogs require less physical exercise? Option one is true and option two is false. I would like to repeat the question. Is it true or false that native Indian dogs require less physical exercise? Your option one is true and option two is false. So quickly comment the right answer below. let's move on to the next question, Amrit. The next question that we have is from Shashidhar, and he's asking, can Indian dogs train at any age?
Any dog can be trained at any age, as
Hmm.
far as the person who's training has the knowledge and information to understand this particular dog, his likes, his dislikes, also correlate the same with the owner. That's most important. The person could be a great dog trainer, but then if he's not able to correlate what the owner wants with what the dog is offering, then it will not help. A lot
Okay.
of our clients come back telling, so the dog does sit down, sleep, roll, everything very well, but he keeps jumping at visitors. Then the
Hmm.
trainer says that, yes, I've trained the dog, and the owner is like, no, it's not trained, right? So the
Right.
concern here comes, the trainer or the behaviorist should be a bridge between the dog and the owner. Tell them, see,
Hmm.
you have been lifting and carrying the dog since he is a puppy, putting them on your chest. So you've told that every time there's a new person, come on the chest. Now the dog is grown up big, so he
Okay.
needs attention. Every time your
Okay.
dog did not jump at you, you never spoke to the dog. You walked in. Every time
Right.
your dog jumped at you, you told him, don't jump. Don't jump is still an
Hmm.
attention given to the dog. So stand near the door, open the door a little bit for 2 inches, let the dog not come out. You don't go in, wait for your dog to sit. Then open the door and hug the dog. There,
Right.
where you squat down, your dog is sitting down, hug him there. You
Okay.
do it 10 times. A dog of any age would easily understand that there's someone at the door, I have to sit down. They're going to come down and
And
hug me.
then, oh wow. Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
So what we normally do, the dog is sitting, you're like, oh, you just pet the head and move away. But a dog jumps on you, you hug the dog, put him down, tell him, no, you should not jump. This is an expensive clothes. I have to go for a meeting. You tore my shirt now. My tie is all over your saliva. So the dog is like, oh, if I jump, there is so much of talking that happens. But if I don't, they just pet my head and go inside.
Right.
Right. It's the
The
amount of attention and energy you give to the right behavior.
Okay, understood and noted for future, definitely. The next question that we have is from Ishan, and the question is, I know how indie dogs are generally territorial. Is it a good idea to adopt one when I already have a dog at home? I don't want much fuss, but I'm really interested in adopting.
Every animal is territorial, whether it's the tiger of Bengal to the lion of Gir Forest to an indie dog or a Labrador or a German Shepherd, every dog is territorial. One, if you're wanting to adopt a dog, when you already have one, go for the one which is of the opposite sex. Get both of them sterilized. You'll have lovely coexisting between the two of them. But always remember to identify who is more dominating. If it's the new dog, then always remember to give him first attention and then to the older dog. If it's your older dog, see to it that he gets first attention and next to this. It is we as owners. For example, my son, I have a son who's 6 years old called Love. I have a younger one who's 14 months old called Kush. Despite the fact that Kush is a younger baby, so I have to put him on my lap always, he still doesn't know to walk by himself. So every time I put him on my lap, I look at Love and tell, this is how you used to sit. So I'm giving attention to Love also before carrying
Hmm.
Kush,
Okay, okay.
right? See, Love is such a good boy. He's sitting on the chair, and you're such a baby, you don't even know to sit. So Love feels
Yeah.
happy sitting there. What
Oh,
this is what we have to do. When you have an Indie or you have a Labrador at home called Ginger, and you got Tommy back home, you're like, Ginger, you're such a good dog. You're sitting there. See, Tommy, you should learn from Ginger. Pick him. Ginger got the first attention before the younger one, Tommy. If you do
right.
ABC at home, it should be always ABC. You do CAB, BAC, things like that. That's when we create the difference between them, and that yields to the fight.
Right, right. Very well explained, sir. The next question that we have is a follow-up question from Saborni, who's asking, when they see other dogs on leash, apart from getting aggressive, they also start turning on each other and fighting amongst themselves. They have a great camaraderie, so this has baffled us for quite some time.
See, there is when you have two dogs, you're walking on leash, and both of them have their own judging capacity. Now, there is one dog who wants to go and fight, whereas the other dog who's obeying you and not wanting to go to fight. So these dogs would fight between each other because I'm telling you, come, we'll go fight the
Okay.
dog and protect her. And this other dog is like, no, she's told not to. She told stay. She pulled me and told keep quiet.
Right.
Right. So I have to obey her.
Okay.
So they both
Got
can't
it.
bite her. So they'll fight between each other. Like come, we'll go fight. He's like, no,
To
we'll
go
not
or
go fight.
not to go, right? Right.
Yes, right. So that's when they get into each other.
Okay. Okay. I hope you got your answers for both
And
for the
what
next
needs to
walk.
be done there? What needs to be done there is more attention to the dog who's not going to the fight. That's
Okay.
important.
Okay.
Where, for example, we have A and B, and A wants to fight and B doesn't want to. We keep on telling A, keep quiet, A, keep quiet. No, it's like, be good girl, be good boy. See, B did not go, be good. So A understands that if I behave like him, I also get love and affection. We get
Okay.
attention.
Right.
If
Right.
there are two
Understood.
dogs, yeah, Tom and Ginger, and both of them are fighting, and the Tom is the one who's fighting first. We normally tell Tom, don't do it, Tom, don't do it. The more we talk about Tom, we're giving him energy to fight with Ginger.
Right. Right.
Ginger, good boy. Ginger's such a nice boy. He's not fighting. He is such a nice boy. Stop even talking about Tom. Tom should understand that he's getting attention and affection for not fighting.
So that is good behavior.
And I am
Okay.
ignored for fighting.
Right. Right.
So I follow him.
Okay. Okay. Wow. The next question that we have is from Chinmay Desai, and the question is, what is the correct age for dogs to get sterilized, both male and female?
Any age after 11 months is the best age. If they are pups and the center wants to sterilize and then give them for adoption, that's fair as well. The reason why 11 months is normally a lot of dogs' growth in length and height reduces after the sterilization. They put on weight. So by 11 months, normally they attain 80, 70 to 80% of their height and length. So getting them sterilized then is a good age. Second, after 12, 13, 14 months, then their hormones start acting. So they would want to go mate, or they get the mating thing into the head biologically. So before that, getting them sterilized. So 9, 10, 11 months and onwards, between 9 to 12 months would be the best age.
Okay, okay. The next question that we have is from Manpinder Singh, and he's asking, what meal should I give to 1 to 2 month old puppy? Is milk safe for them? If yes, in what quantity?
See, if it's weaned out from the mother, then there is no need of milk primarily. So if you have to give milk, like I told you, if they're weaned out from the mother and you want to give milk, goat's milk is the best. Even better, because you don't know. It's goat milk on the cover, we don't know what's inside. So you
Right,
have commercial diets manufactured with some research, with some formula, like the Purina Pro Plan or something similar, which have got optimum nutrition and optimum energy for that particular breed or that particular dog to grow up then. So they are weaning diets. I would suggest get to that rather than we doing. I could tell you, give them a little bit of chicken soup, bones, give them a little bit of rice, or a little bit of ragi, a little bit of jar. Instead of all these things where we are making a formulation where we are not educated enough to do it, there is some science, some scientific research that goes into the formulation of diets for good absorption of the energy that goes in the food. So it's always better stick to the mother if it's still feeding on the mother. If not, you can slowly wean out to commercial diets and slowly bring them onto your home foods much later.
I hope it helps, Manpinder. The next question that we would want to know is, we definitely know how Indian dog breeds make a really good freight for the Indian homes. But can you also explain what really goes into raising them? Basically, what are the do's and don'ts, and any best practices that you would recommend to our audience?
Before bringing a dog, find out there is where we do run some webinars like Know Your Pup. So before bringing a dog, understand socially and physically can we afford a pup. Normally people go only to their economical affordability. It's not that. What I mean by socially and physically, like somebody rightly asked, a viewer, I already have a lab, can I go for an indie? What should I look in for an indie? Perfect. So get a dog of an opposite sex, that's one, so that they don't fight in between the two of them territorially. Second comes, whenever you're getting a dog home, can I give them enough exercise? Do I have neighboring dogs? If I have a male dog, male, say, some breed of a dog beside me, then me getting another male dog, you'll always have a concern that whenever this dog barks, that dog barks, whenever that dog pees, this dog pees. Because for you, you have separated your territory with a compound. They separate their territory by their pee. So every
Right,
time there's a breeze and your dog gets the neighbor dog's pee smell, he'll go and pee every four corners of your dining table, and then we start fighting with your dog that
right,
despite toilet training, he pees inside, he pees inside, right? So if your dog, if your neighbor has a male, then go for a female. right? Because this is called social affordability, because you have to live with your neighbor.
Hmm.
And today, especially with metropolitan cities having apartments, it's always better you understand what are the other dogs there, how you could coexist with the two of them. Say if you go for a beagle, when there is another probably any other breeded male dog beside. So every time this dog goes out and pees or comes back and pees inside in the balcony and they get the smell, beagle's going to bark, and beagle barking is like bau. They named from the musical instrument bugle. So that sounds like it's crying for another house. So they're going to call
Hmm.
back telling that we have an apartment association. This dog is always crying, and my grandfather in some part of India died because of COVID, because your dog was crying. It's easy to blame. And then you get into a lot of
Right.
social concerns. That's your social affordability. Then comes your physical affordability. This particular breed needs so much of exercise. Can I give? If not, who else can? So I have a friend of mine who's a runner. So who does these marathons and cycling, 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, triathlon, swimming, cycling, running. So merge with them. I'm getting a puppy. So every time, because you can't afford one, I can afford, as in, again, you have a mother who's allergic to dogs. So I'll have a dog. Every time you're going running, can you take my dog along? Finish your 10K, 20K, 5K, whatever, and come back and hand it over to me. So you get to play with the dog a little more. Second, my dogs get a lot of exercise. Or you have another person who has a dog and who walks them, requesting them even before you get a dog home. See, I want to buy a dog home. You already have a Cocker Spaniel. You're doing a lot of running. Can I get an Indie? So both of them can run together with the two. So there's socialization and exercise. So your physical affordability on giving them exercise, giving them bath, giving them the grooming, and then comes your
Right.
social affordability on your neighborings and your friends and relatives. After that comes to what you can afford, if you can afford or not. So that's the important things that you'll have to look into, and then bring in a puppy home rather than pressing your fingers after getting one.
Good. Okay, got it, sir. We have one more question from Runwai Kamath. Actually, before we move on to the next question, I would quickly request Amrit sir to share with our pet parents the answer for the Purina Pro Plans contest that we posted on 13th April. So our question was, which of the following is a popular Indian dog breed? The option A was poodle, and the option B was Himachali hounds. Amritsar, can you please give us the correct answer for
It
the
has to
audience?
be Himachali hounds, because
Right.
Himachal Pradesh again is an Indian origin, so it is the Himachali hounds.
So the next question comes from Brunmai Kamath, and the question is, for how many hours can we keep a dog alone, and is it okay to keep them alone for a while at home?
See, the question is how many hours could you give them optimum and dedicated exercise with you, physically, mentally? If I can give them half an hour of running, and not with my Bluetooth on, not with my music, talking to the dog, giving him half an hour of running twice a day, that's 1 hour of running. I am running with my dog. Keeping your dog alone for 23 hours doesn't make much of a difference, because you have dedicated a good 1 hour to them. Whereas a lot of people leave the dog free in the house and tell them they have all the time with us, and they are not even able to look at the dog and talk to them for a minute. Because today we have the work from home culture. So even if you're at home, you don't even get time to tell, hi, Tommy, what you're doing. Right? So 24 4 hours of Tommy in front of you and not giving him attention is worse than giving him 1 hour of attention and leaving him alone for 23 other hours. So it is the dedicated amount of time you give to your dog. If you can give them 20 minutes into 3 times and keep them alone for 23 hours, they're even happier, because that 1 hour of 20 minutes into three, you give them all your attention.
Right.
Unlike I'm on a laptop, I'm giving you a webinar session, there are 10 dogs around me, nobody is getting attention. So what good is my presence here if I cannot give them attention?
Attention.
So you
Understood.
can keep them away, but whenever you're with them, give them maximum or complete attention. Could be 10 minutes into 6 time, 20 minutes into 3 time, but no phones around, no laptops around. Give them your time, your exercise with them
You're
is what
100%.
matters.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's not the present that I got a bone, I got a chew stick, I got a toy. It's your presence, and your presence dedicated to them is what matters.
Definitely. The next question that we have is from Anjan Roy, and the question is, what is the best remedy for ticks and itching issues in Indies? I saw many Indies suffering from these disease, and I want to help them. Any remedy for ticks and itching?
Perfect. Neomac, there's a tablet called Neomac, ivermectin tablet. Now, ivermectin tablet, earlier only pet parents knew about it. post lucky, thanks to COVID, it gave ivermectin to all COVID patients. People who don't want to get corona COVID also have been taking ivermectin. Ivermectin is one tablet which is available 12 mg at all medical shops or chemists. It's at a very low cost. So giving every indie you feed at least one ivermectin tablet mixed with food, mixed with meat, mixed in with their the general diet at least once in 6 months could relieve them from all skin diseases and ticks and fleas.
Okay, okay, understood, sir. So there's one more question that we have is, are there any prominent health concerns that we should be aware before adopting an indie?
See, health concerns is not on the breed, especially if it's an indie, then most of the breed health concerns are not there. Now, health concerns would be
Yeah.
generic or to that particular dog alone. So, like I told, getting your dog verified with your veterinary doctor before bringing them home is always best. Not to give them back to the shelter or leave them back to the street. To know how you can manage it and see to it that whatever medicines or exercise or whatever food habits you'll have to bring in to help them come over the concern. That's important.
Okay, understood, sir. So, looks like our time is up, and we have come to the end of the live session. Before we do that, I would quickly like to announce the winners for our trivia contest that we ran while during the live sessions. So, the winners are Manpinder Singh, Vijay MJ, and Shobha Sundrayal. I'll repeat again: Manpinder Singh, Vijay MJ, Shobha Sundrayal. Congratulations to all the winners. We'll request you to inbox your details to Purina ProPlan's Facebook page. And thank you so much, Amrit sir, for joining us and helping us understand so much about our native Indian dog breeds. I'm sure a lot of us will now be looking to welcome these lovely companions into our homes.
I should thank every viewer and every other viewer from now on who's going to view this and not only view, share this with a lot more people because
Yes.
sharing is caring. Sharing knowledge here becomes a caring for the Indies outside and the Indian breeds. So I would not say don't go for imported breeds or other breeds. You can go for a breed of your choice. Adding another dog to your life, to your family, to help your dog be by himself, be well socialized. That could be an indie. Your second dog can always be an indie. One, it's going to bring in a lot of joy to your first dog, as well as it's going to bring in a lot of help to these breeds, native Indian breeds. That is when you get to compare and understand that who's more healthier, who's more comfortable.
Right.
Before bringing one, please get the second dog of the opposite sex, get them sterilized for their longevity of life and their betterment of health and their mental well-being.
Right, right, sir. Definitely. We must always adopt these little furry babies. And thank you, pet parents, also who joined us today, and the ones who participated in the trivia session and got their questions answered. Hope we were
We'll have
able.
to thank PetFed, mainly PetFed and the team of PetFed, the management of PetFed for organizing such things. When on a weekend everybody is more bothered about running to a pub or a club close by, this is a time when sitting home and understanding more about your pets you have and the pets you would want to get. PetFed is doing a great thing because PetFed is an
Right.
event, and when we call it as an event, this becomes a regular event to understand. And educational programs are a need of the art today. And thanks, PetFed, for organizing such things.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And hope we were able to answer all the questions for the audience. And to the ones who missed it, please don't worry. These live sessions are going to be a regular affair, and we will be covering a lot of different topics going ahead. Meanwhile, you can watch this entire video on Purina's Facebook page, Purina Pro Plan India. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you, pet parents. Have a good evening. Thank you.